Hi, it's Cindy Fodor here with Stamp the Love, and this is May's version of our Creative Stamping Collective. And of course, we're highlighting the Lily of the Valley bundle, and I'm also highlighting the, I think it's called Lily of the Valley or something like that, the paper that goes with it. So I thought I'd show you something a little different than I've been normally doing. And at convention or on stage this year, which I didn't get to attend, but I watched everything that was happening as much as I could from other people's perspectives. But there was an album made out of a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And I had done something like this a while ago for a class, and it really excited me, and I wanted to do it again. So I'm going to show you that tonight or today, whichever this is as you're watching this. Okay, I guess maybe I should start by showing you what the project looks like before I start this. So I'm just going to pop this off of here. And this is made from a 12 by 12 piece of designer paper. So it opens here. Oops. And then this piece opens here. And I did use a a retired stamp because I'm making this for sisters. I'm going to do my two girls, and then I'm going to do my two granddaughters. And I couldn't find my girls' pictures that I have been saving to put in a sister's album. And so I didn't get the pictures put in, but I knew I had the stamp, and it is from Beautiful Moments, in case you have seen that set or have that set. And so anyways, then this actually pulls out here for a photo. This comes down. I have a flap for a photo here, one of our flip flaps. And then this opens up for a photo here, or journaling, whichever I decide to use. Okay, so let me just show you how that all starts out. I'm redoing this and debating whether I keep in the messed up one that I did because it's fixable, but it's easy to get it if you're trying to follow a pattern, and it's easy to get the wrong side. So what I did was I scored from this side, and I wanted to score from this side only because of how this folds. Of course, you might find that you want to fold it completely different, and that is okay. So this is just my version of how I wanted to fold it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to score first at 6 inches on one side, and then we're going to open this up and turn it, and we're going to score at 4 and 8 inches on the other side. Move this down to 8. All right, now I'm just going to use these pads so that I can scoot up here so you can see the whole thing. So now I'm still on the 8-inch mark, and on this 8-inch mark, I'm going to score up to my 6-inch score line, which is right about here. And then I'm going to turn this, and on, make sure I'm doing the right one. On this 6-inch score line, I'm going to score to the 4-inch, and on this side of the paper, it's a little hard to see. If you need to, you can put a pencil mark there. Okay, now one more cut, and I'm going to just do it down here. It's on this piece that we cut up to the 6-inch line, and we're going to cut at the 3-inch line right here, just to cut off this one little piece. Just need to go a little bit further. Okay. All right, let me get rid of this again. All right, let's flip it over. Now, hopefully we are up. I still did it wrong. Okay, that's okay. We are just going to fold it a different way, and we'll figure it out as we go. I wanted to do, since I flipped it over that way, I wanted to do it opposite. I wanted to do the cut off here and the other cut here, but I think, no, actually, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. It's okay. I panicked just because I can, because I do. And I think because I screw up all the time. Okay. All right. So this is good. These are upside down, but I don't think that that matters. And I decided that it wasn't going to matter. You might have issues with that, but because we're turning this like this, it's just gonna be that way. Unless you decide to, you could bring this down instead of the way I'm doing it. So you'll figure it out as you go. Like I said, I figured it out and made it the way I wanted it to go. This one's going to fold up, and this one is going to, let's bring our pattern here. So it goes like this. So these pieces both fold in like this. And then on this piece and this piece, we're going to punch a 1/2 inch. And on this punch, which is a 3/4 inch punch that we used to carry, I have little 1/2 inch marks in the center there just to give me an idea. And it's sometimes just helpful to have that, even if you're punching a whole circle, if you need to center something or whatever. And I'm just eyeballing it right to left, and that one's not exact, but it doesn't matter. I just need to be able to pull, possibly pull something from there. Okay, so far we have this. Here's our, I want to see if I have this one. Yeah, I have that one going sideways, which might have been better. I chose to do this one so that it's going this direction. This one's going to fold in, and then this is going to fold up. Now what I found when I did this is you have a lot of fullness in here, okay? You can see how it's overlapping a little bit. So I did some creative trimming. I just looked at what I had and I was like, okay, when this folds in, it's over here a little too far. I should have left this out here. I will tell you, it's a little bit easier to do this on a guillotine trimmer because it can chomp down instead of dragging the paper. But we're gonna see how this baby does. And we're just going to get rid of, I don't know, what is that? That's less than a 1/16 of an inch. And let's just see how that goes. That looks pretty good. I'm going to just give this another little fold here. All right. And then this is going to fold up. And I'm just going to force this fold down a little bit so that it's not pressing on the other fold. And you might want to grab your bone folder to give that an extra little bit of encouragement. So as I press down, all right, there we go. And then at the top here, if you need to trim that just a little bit, and I feel like that bent that in a little, so that meant that was in the way. So let's give that just a little trim. You see how that's folding up there? And I don't know that Elizabeth did this when she demoed it, but this is just how I don't like things to be unmatched or unequal. So, and that did not trim out perfectly. So let me just give a little trim here. Most of my video is going to be spent on teaching you how to put this together, and then you'll be able to do that on your own. Okay, so back here we are. Here, this goes here. This goes here. We trimmed that off a little bit. You can see a little bit of room in between those now. And now it folds up so much nicer. Now we'll see how this one goes. Now, because this has to go over all of this, and it also has to go over all of your layers and everything when you get them in here, I went and trimmed off a little bit of this because there's one fold there that I don't want to trim. So maybe I won't do too much, but this one here is slightly overlapping that fold anyways. So we are going to just give that a little trim on here. And I'm just going to start here at the 6-inch mark, and we'll go up here and just give that a little trim. All right, now let's see how we're doing. All right, there we go. That looks pretty good. We got a little bit here. That's our underneath fold. I think another thing that I can do here is just give this a little force. And again, take that bone folder and just crease that fold there. Okay. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so now we can start decorating. I decided that I wanted to use this piece as well because it's so pretty I couldn't waste it. So we're going to go ahead and just adhere this to the front here and make another pocket. Now, we just trimmed some of this to make some extra space in here. So this is a little too wide, and so I'm going to trim a little bit off of this, less than a 1/16 of an inch, because I want as much of it as I can. Let's just see how that looks. I just don't want it to add fullness to that fold. I think that will be okay. All right, and we're going to take our Tombow glue, because I don't want too much glue in here, but I'm going to go ahead and I have it in this little bottle that hopefully will just bring out a little bit. Let me just give it a little squeeze here and make sure it's going before I start. And I'm just going along these 3 edges. the edges that aren't punched. You definitely want it to hold, but you don't want enough that's going to squish out or squish into the area where you want to put your photo. Okay. Now, inside of that one, I used the textured notes dies, and I cut these 3 pieces. This is the largest one, and these 3 are the next size. So this one is going to go inside of this pocket. Actually, I didn't want to glue that down. What was I thinking? I want this to pull out, and I think I did this before. Did I just want to show you how cool it is to use the Take Your Pick tool to remove this? Actually, I did it on this one the last time, and then decided I didn't want to glue it down. And this time I had it designed and I should have known better. But this actually slides up here fairly decently, at least it did before. And I can remove this just by catching the center of these. Making a little groove in there. Okay, let's just say that it worked better off of camera than it did on camera. And I didn't do it in order to show you that. But you can't see the grooves on the other side. Let's see if I can get these off a little quicker. Okay, by the magic of television, it's gone. All right, this is just intended to slip in here so that you can put photos on either side or journaling or whatever you want to do there. All right, then this next one in here, I did glue this one down because it doesn't have a pocket and I don't want it to flop around. So that one's the one I wanted to put the adhesive on. And then I just sort of centered it where I thought that it should go. And then this one gets glued down, so we will put some glue right along here. You can use tear and tape if you prefer. You'll just have a little less space in your pocket. And we're just gluing those 2 sides. And then this one gets the Highland Heather one in. And then on this one, let's see, where did I put? This one here is where I put the flip flap. I didn't put any paper in it, but I just wanted to show you how fun it is to put these on, because you can just add an extra photo anywhere, and you can put 2 photos in this. Now I have the sticky side. I'm going to fold it back so that when the photos are in here, it won't show. This will hold a 3x4 photo. Okay, and then I can also put one here if I want. So I can put 3 photos in that space. Now, just remember, the more you add, the more bulky it's going to be. But I think that it's working out really well. Even adding all of this stuff, it's still worked out really well. All right, we also need to glue this one down. So we'll do that next. And I'm just going to glue right along this edge right here. I can get my glue going. Get a little bit extra there. All right, then I cut a piece of basic beige to go in there. I'm just going to lay my other pieces here. And I don't really want to stick it right in there the second because I want that to glue down good first. All right, let's go ahead. I'm just going to lay that there. We'll close this. The next thing I did was I added an extra flap here because I wanted to stamp here. So I stamped with my little girls. And I don't think I'm going to do that again, just because since I already have the one album for the girls, I'll do something else here, maybe for the boys. So maybe for brothers. And so, but I do want to add this I want to add this as a flap that opens. So what I did is I just created a hinge with a 1 inch by like 2.5 inch piece of basic beige. And I'm not sure why I went with basic beige, other than the background here in the checkered is basic beige. So we're going to score that at a 1/2 inch. And then we just put adhesive on either side, which is how I want this to go. And I don't want it over the fold, but for some reason I am batting 0 here. Okay. All right, so this is just going to go right on here, figure out where I want it, and put half on my blue piece and half on this piece, and hope that that lines up nicely. There we go. All right. Then I decorated this part here because it's opening down, and I wanted some of our lilies to be on here, and I wanted to use this piece. Don't you love these little designs? Oh, they're just so much fun. So I definitely wanted to add that. I'll just pop out a few more of those. And I'm just going to throw this in place. Well, I was going to glue that hole in, but I guess if I put my glue on it, it's going to pull it out. Maybe if I go over it fast. I want them to stay in some and some out. All right, and we'll tuck this in the corner here. And then we'll do some coloring. Okay, so we've got basically everything put together except for our things that we want to put inside. Let me go ahead and add some ribbon to this. And then I want to get about, I don't know, I just go across here. I leave maybe 4 inches there, and then I just want to double that. And I'll give myself just a little bit extra in case I didn't guess well. And also for after I put everything in here, I might need to extend this a little bit once I get all my photos in there. So might need a little bit more around there. So just tie this in a bow. This is our new Peaceful Pine ribbon in color. All right, now let's do some, we're going to stamp the tag, and I will go ahead and stamp the tag that I did for this. Let me grab it here. I did sisters, and I want to show you how I did that. And I could do the same thing with brothers. But first of all, these tags, just so that you know, I needed a perfect tag, and this tag was the perfect size. So this is from our new Scallop Blooms bundle. These are the stamps, and these are the dies. And this is the little tag that I used here. So just a perfect size for this. This would have worked too, but for the size of my letters, the other one did better. And then I'm pulling out all these new stamp sets because I had to try them, right? A family celebration because it has sister. Look at the lovely font of this. But I wanted sisters. So what I did was I took sister and I took son. Where's son? Here. All right. So let me just show you what I did. I'll go ahead and stamp that because I can make a second one. But what color did I do that in? This one. So I stamped sister here. And then I took, let's grab another block. I don't have any little ones in here. All right, I just want this S. So, but I noticed that the upstroke of the R is already there. So I just took my finger and just removed a tad of that so that it wouldn't darken that. Excuse my head, I just gotta try to line up with this end of this R for my S, and there we have the sisters. This S, because of the end of it, I guess, goes up a little bit higher, but I thought that was pretty cool how that worked. All right, let's see. Next, I think I'm done with this color. Let me get rid of that. All right, for this one, we're going to stamp on this and with one of the stamps in this set, and we're going to color that. So let's do this one. I am going to grab my mat because I'm going to make sure that gets inked well. Just barely fits on here. All right, and we're going to color that with our blends. Okay, before I finish coloring, I did take just the end of these flowers and ink them, and then just stamp them across here, just to add some of our little lilies to that front. Okay, I am using light and dark fresh freesia. I'm using soft seafoam, of course Peaceful Pine, and then our new light hydrangea U. I know that lilies of the valley are white, but check this out. Look how they did this. They did a little bit of color because they're going to reflect whatever colors around them. With us, it's a little harder to get just a little bit of light color, so mine are definitely colored a little bit more. But I think in the art world you have license to color any color that you want for a flower. So let's start with the leaves. I'm going to start with, I can't remember if I used both light and dark, but I'm just going to start with a light soft seafoam, and it's going to be really light. So let's just go ahead and use all of them, right? And then I might just use the light for this. What I found is that when I came back with my light fresh freesia, it was that light that it was actually taking the color away instead of just blending it together. And so I might have to come back and add a little bit more. This is the dark. I definitely want this blended. I'm going to use the fern tip to get those blended a little bit better. And sometimes when you have a light color like this, it works like a color lifter instead of a color blender. But once I get that dark color in there, I can come back and add a little bit more of the light peaceful pine. And it doesn't stand out quite as much because we've darkened everything. So just a little tricky there. Now if I do this, it will just hopefully blend it lightly so that it looks something like this. Let me just get a little bit closer for you. Okay. And then for our flowers, let me start with, I think I might just use the light because, like I said, I don't really want them too dark. Although, you know what? I did use the light and it was very pink. Let me just try the dark ones. This is the light. Yeah, this is the dark. I'm going to use the dark. I don't really want it to look pink. And I guess I didn't pull in Highland Heather. I'm sort of wondering why I didn't grab that, since the Highland Heather is going to be the piece that's up here. But we'll see. I'm going to grab the bullet tip here in color and just blend that a little bit. This is where you could use a light one or a color lifter to lift some of those colors. I didn't bring a color lifter in, but I might use this light green just to sort of muddies the color a little bit too much. All right, I did come in and used our new gel pen just because, I see a spot here that I missed. Just because I love gel pens, and I was so excited to try it and see if it actually worked as good as it should, and it really does. So we're going to add just some highlights of white on our little flowers. And you can even drop a few on your leaves if you want to, sort of the sunny spots where the sun might be hitting them, especially in here where I have it lighter. So anyways, I just thought you might like to see how well that works as well. And while that dries, I'm going to carefully put some glue on here. Try not to smear that. And we're going to slide this off of here, hopefully. I think I have it tied down in that little slot. And we're going to open, and this goes in here. We're going to open, and this is going to go right here. Okay, this should be dry enough that this should slide in here. Let's go ahead and do that. And I did take our journaling pen and did that 3 1/2 by 5 inch photo block. And then I stayed inside of the 3 1/2 by 5 because I don't know if it's actually gonna, you know, what size photo I'm gonna use. So you can do little dashes, or you can do a dash and a dot, or you can do a dash and a hash, whatever you like to use. If you're giving this as a gift for somebody to put their own photos in, this might be a good way to do that. Let's go ahead and put. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just hand drawn, right? So no perfection needed. It's fun to do this. It's doodling, but it's a little stressful. In fact, when I do them in a class, people really stress out about it. And I think that's why we stamp, because a lot of us aren't artistic, and we stamp because we can't draw, right? That's not true of everybody. I have many on my team and customers who are very artistic, and I'm making a mess of this as I'm talking, but you'll get the idea, hopefully. And you'll say, oh, if she can do that, I can certainly do that. It's easier going the right direction. Okay, so just to give you an idea, so that if you give this to somebody, they know what to do with it. Okay, all right, so now we have this part to do yet. And let me just, let's see here. I'm gonna put this over here, and we have to add some color to this. So I cut out this little lily of the valley, and I just brushed on a little bit of color. So I just lightly tried to get just a little purple Highland Heather on there. I'm doing the same colors, well, not quite the same colors as we did on the other little piece. Some of these are a little hard to get to, so I think just the outsides will do in the purple. I will tell you, I did this on one of my videos, and I was amazed at how nice it was to work with the silicone mat, because this piece doesn't move nearly as much as that was going. That was a mess. And also, it holds your ink so that you can just pick it back up and work with it. All right, I'm going to just scoot it over here away from the purple, and we'll open the pretty peacock, and we'll do a little bit of that on the stem. Let me just come down here and start. I want the stem to be pretty dark. It doesn't look like Pretty Peacock on my card. I think I used Peaceful Pine, but I'm not really sure how that ink pad got in my stuff. But Pretty Peacock goes with this designer paper, so we'll go ahead and go with it. But I'm pretty sure I used the Peaceful Pine for my sample. All right, so there we go. And again, we will add a little bit of glue, maybe a tad on the stem here. And I'm just gonna put that up across here. I have to hold that down for a second. Okay, I think we did all the steps other than stamping in here. All right. Hopefully I made that look easy enough, even though I screwed up with my fold the first time and thought I screwed up the second time. I just love all these flaps. I don't know about you guys, but there's just something fun about having flaps and little albums, and I really enjoy that. And I think, you know, in today's age, I've been doing this for 30 years, and it used to be a really cool thing to do. And then for a while it wasn't, but I think it's coming back around again. I know that squash albums are the rage, but I think it's fun to even make something that looks as pretty and formal as this. And it still looks nice, and it's fun to give as a gift or to give to your kids with their pictures in, or however you want to do it. All right, thanks for sticking with me. I hope it's something that could help you. Oh, I did want to show you, I couldn't stop playing with these colors, and I was designing for a class, and I did this card with several different of the designer papers that are in the set, and I did more coloring with that. Just really fun. I used actually this one is the fern background and not the one that goes with the set. And then this one I cased from, now I'm going to forget her name. She posts on her demonstrator planning place. Oh my goodness. I didn't write it down because I was going to remember it. I feel really bad. But anyways, it's a direct case from her. She always does this roughed edges and tons of layers, but